Greetings from Bangalore Baptist Hospital. We are assembled here to talk about how people who are growing older are facing challenges. It can be quite challenging and daunting. And in spite of all this, how people overcome and make a difference. And it's never been easy to grow old, but we can have expert advice to help you to navigate through your times of crisis and difficulty. So I think we labeled this discussion as putting a twinkle into the wrinkles. As Mark Twain famously said, wrinkles must be the scars where the smiles ended. Unfortunately, that's not the way a lot of people see the wrinkles. But ladies and gentlemen, wrinkles, scars on the face is a testament and testimony of the hard work and the hours of grinding work they have done to look after each one of us. So we are indebted to pay back to our older generation, parents, older people, and to enjoy the harvest of labor. People look at aging in a different way. I have a 93-year-old lady who comes with an iPad, connects with all the grandchildren, and she's latest and she feels she's very cool. And I had a 90-year-old who said, I want to learn dancing and Bharatanatyam. So aging can be so cool. But we'll also see why some people find it difficult. So we are assembled here, an amazing group of people with varied talents and who will give us expert advice as to how to go forward. On to my right, I have Mr. Krishnan. Mr. Krishnan is the most youngest gentleman in the group. He walks faster than me. He leaps. He doesn't walk. He leaps. He was a gentleman who joined banking as a sportsman. He played with Chandrasekhar and Prasanna, but he pursued banking. He worked at the bank for many years. Then he was an auditor. He was auditor to Baptist Hospital. He's an educationist. He's an entrepreneur. And he's an amazing gentleman who helps a lot of people who are in trouble. So I would want his perspective. I feel that he's aging very well. So I want his perspective to find out what is that he can teach us, to you, how to age well. On my left, Mr. Anand Gumnur, gentleman whom I know for a long time. This gentleman has worked in Bahrain for many, many years. He was managing the largest aluminium company in Bahrain, where he was managing 400 to 500 people. And he also managed to keep his mind cool and do the things. I don't know how he managed it. And also he brings a very important perspective. He had to relocate back to India because he had his parents in their late 80s and his mother is in 90s. He also is so passionate and committed to the cause that he believes in. He's also wanting to start, or he's also already in the process of starting to build a home for the older people with a different ethos where the caring is the most important thing, not the financial ramification. So and also is a dad. So he's going to bring the tension and the challenges that he has when he looks after his mom as a son, he looks after his daughter as a dad, and how does he cope with that? So he's going to bring the unique perspective as a son and as a father, how he manages, and also how it is to live abroad and to see your parents going through challenges and how to deal with it. On to my far left is Susie. Susie is a Josephite, worked in Dubai for many years, and then she relocated back. She cared for her mom, and as I known her personally, looking after mom. She also trained to become a counselor for older people from Banjaras. She did internship in Baptist Hospital. Now she's heading Silver Talkies in Frasertown group, where he manages people with a lot of challenges that they go through. So she's going to bring about a unique perspective as a daughter and also as a trained counselor and also as a person who has a first-hand experience of how the older people navigate through challenges and what are the trepidation and anxieties they have. On to my far right is my colleague John Vinod. He's an amazing gentleman. He's finished his undergraduate and postgraduate from St. John's, which is my alma mater, and he had a short stint in CMC Vellore, and then he passed his Royal College exams and got his membership. He's pursuing geriatric training, so he's going to bring the medical perspective about all this. So I'll try to tie things together, And so we want to put a twinkle into your wrinkle. So ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the session that we're going to have. So Mr. Krishnan, I feel honestly that you are aging very well. Now, you know what? I'm asking $1,000,000 question. Give me a recipe for that, please.
See, the one thing which I have come across in my life, I've gone through enough and more when I was young and even in the office. But I found one thing, that people have forgotten that if you show love to others, that love will take care of you.
Amazing.
Yes. We fail to give the love and show the love. We always feel that others, either he or she does a wrong thing, we try to punish them, we tries to humiliate them. I don't appreciate that one. I would like to treat them as a human being, and that helps me to do one thing is develop myself in such a way that one is I develop love, second thing is I develop a sort of affection towards the people. Third is, can I do something for them so that it will make them happy?
Yeah.
See, some are poor, some are rich, some are middle class people, but the poor needs a lot.
Sure.
So my aim is, can I do something to help the poor and the needy?
Sure.
And second thing is, keep myself happy in such a way that I will not only help them, also help them to develop in the career path also.
Yeah.
In fact, I have about 10 of the girls whom I have educated, who are all well settled today. Some of them are in the US, some of them are in Canada. And recently one of the girls who passed, and she was coming from the poorest to the poor family. She got married to a Oriya boy. I had to get her married. She wanted to get married to that boy. And they are in Tanzania. And the boy is a chartered accountant, company secretary and cost accountant, earning 8 lakhs per month.
Multiple hats.
That gives me a joy.
Sure.
And this is the one which sustains me at this age.
Yeah. Yeah, can I summarize for them? I think what Mr. Krishnan said is absolutely profound. He has practiced the highest virtue of love and kindness and giving to people, and he has a purpose, and he draws and love and strength by showing love and kindness. I can't summarize it anything better. So no wonder you're aging well. So if you want to age well, show love and kindness, and you draw strength.
I'm not aged, I'm only 8 years.
There we are, he's still 80. So, Mr. Anand, I've known you very well for a long time. You had a unique responsibility as a son and also as a father. You lived abroad. How did you juggle all this? Tell me what are the challenges that you went through? How did you manage? Because a lot of people are in the position that you are in.
Yeah, the main thing is that how the habits and thoughts are cultivated from the childhood is very important here. Like, when we were very small, then we were taught like so many moral stories and like, how do you behave, how you take care of parents, and these kind of things were taught very well in the early stages. So that never went out from our minds. So when I was in Bahrain, my father, he fell ill and he broke his hip, and then he didn't want to undergo the surgery. So 2 years he was on the bed. It was not easy for me. I used to come around 5 to 6 times every year from there. And then I used to go to a temple, pray for him, then go to my daughters who were studying in Udupi, then go back again to Hyderabad with a short leave, then go back again. But fortunately, finance was not a criteria for us, so we had to hire some maids over there, and my mother was in good condition that time, and then she had no problems, and then she was taking care for the cooking and other things, and the maid was there. But this is not the case for all the people. So where financially somebody is not very strong and they need support, that's where the society has to come into the picture now. And the thing is, what is very important is that compassion and forgiveness is very much required for the younger generation now, which they don't have. A daughter-in-law feels that mother-in-law gives a little hard time, she will never forgive. That's where the relationship is cut off in many places, and then the older generation they start suffering on this. That has to be looked into.
Thank you, sir. I think you brought about the challenges what you faced through. and gentleman brought out the two most important thing: forgiveness and compassion. I think there's so many relationships are strained because they can't forgive and they can't get over their bitterness and show compassion. I think so well said. So thank you. I think I'll come back to you to talk more about what challenges that you went through. And Susie, I seen you as a daughter, as a counselor. So tell me, what is that? How does it help you to deal with people now? And do you wish that you would have done it when your mom was there, or how do you? Just take me through. What's your?
Okay. So I lost my mom exactly 4 years ago on October 5th.
I'm sorry.
In fact.
I'm sorry.
So October 5th will be 4 years. And as you know, she was suffering from dementia, but I think it was more mild cognitive impairment it started
Done
with.
that side, yeah.
And then so the challenge for me in the beginning was that lack of awareness about the disease. Total lack of awareness. All I knew is the word Alzheimer's and the word dementia, vaguely what it meant, and I always thought it was a Western disease. You know, those days. Never, it wasn't much talked about or anything. And when my mother started showing symptoms, behavioral symptoms, which kind of were very strange for me at that time, I didn't know what it was, and I'd get very irritated with her behavior and very angry and impatient, and didn't know what this was. Why a perfectly lovely lady who was such a brilliant student and everything is suddenly behaving so illogically. And then of course, some friends of mine said that, you need to get her examined. Better you do it now because later it can get worse. That's how I went to Nightingale's and met a doctor, got her examined, and but it was very difficult to take her there because she refused to leave the house. So that was a challenge. And then I slowly even then I didn't know. So there was a long period when I was reacting very badly towards her. And that was very painful for me because I started feeling guilty and I started hating myself. And my only prayer used to be that, Lord, give me patience. Nothing else. Why is this I become so impatient? So that was
I think
the
you brought
challenge.
a very important thing, that you felt guilty.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel guilty. Don't know, John?
Yes.
A lot of people feel
Yes.
guilty when they're caring for things. And you said very clearly the lack of awareness.
Yeah.
John, I think you're in Bangalore, the well-connected, the IT city. And so is it real, John? Do you see such patients
With guilt?
with guilt?
I think, I would say majority of them come with some guilt or the other, either some part of their life, either towards their parents or to their grandparents or to their children. I think as Mr. Anand was telling, I think forgiveness, guilt, compassion, I think goes on a long way. I think there's definitely, because I think no one is aware of dementia in her case and cognitive impairment. That's why we are conducting awareness programs to increase cognitive dysfunctions and regarding Alzheimer's. I think guilt is definitely a huge problem.
Yeah. Now, how do you address guilt?
I think we try to focus on the problem, like why do they feel guilt? See, no one wants to purposefully torment or punish one of their beloved ones. Most of the time it happens because it's a lack of awareness to a particular disease. So I don't think you can blame yourself for things which could have happened.
Yeah, I think guilt is the experience that we go through when we feel that we were inadequate.
Yes.
Or we were not there when we should be there. But I think one way to look at it is say that, look, I did everything what I can. Hindsight is always, you're wiser in hindsight.
Yeah.
We see how, that will help us to think and come to terms and forgive yourself,
Yes.
and once you realize that you're thinking and get forward.
One thing I noticed, doctor,
Yeah.
when people are getting aged, the younger people, they feel the workload is more. Second thing is the elderly people, they would like to have, one more thing is the confidence in the people.
You touched on a very important
See,
topic.
confidence in the sense what happens is, in the house when the senior person is there, they will not be able to express everything to the wife or to somebody.
Mm.
They will have one member of the family who is very close to them and confident. For example, I'll tell my own experience. I had the experience of my mother. She passed away in 2000 at 91. My sister, she passed away at the age of 92 here in the Baptist Hospital, about 4 years back. Now my sister, another sister, second sister is 94 now. Every day, morning and evening, I have to telephone. If I don't telephone her and ask her, why you didn't telephone?
Mm.
Yeah.
See here, what they expected, the expectation, even I also have the expectation
Yeah,
for
yeah.
my son. But at the same time, what happens is, as the age grows, one is, you should not have the fear of death.
Mm.
Second thing is, you should not feel that tomorrow what is going to happen. You should not. Keep your mind. But we have to make them very clear. Don't bother, we are here to take care.
Mm.
The confidence level which we have to give, that is very important.
Sure.
In fact,
Confidence
today
is
my
coming.
sister, before coming here, she telephoned, where are you going? The moment I told her, okay, go and come and tell me in the evening what happened.
So is it so important that if your son gives you the confidence saying, Dad, I'm with you, do not worry about your financial things, it'll all be okay. That makes a lot of difference.
Yes, definitely.
It makes a lot of difference.
See,
Definitely.
recently the...
But can I ask you a very important question?
Yes.
You talked about encouragement and expectation, but there is something else called entitlement.
Yes.
So, do you feel that it is right for older people, maybe you both can answer, to feel entitled that children have to do it? Have to
No,
do it.
no.
See, expectation is that you're hoping them to do it. Entitlement is saying that you have to do it. So, what is your take on? I think I want to ask both of you.
I want to give my opinion, say that now if I'm talking to the audience, I would like to say that as you grow to the age of 60, you stop all the expectations. Try to have more detachment. And that's where, like, you gain your confidence on your own and you can live in a better way.
Very well said, sir. Yeah.
You have more expectations that a child should do this, A, B, C, D. It doesn't happen nowadays. Because there are so many other priorities for the children to do. And they may not be able to cope the load, as he says. They will not be able to do it. So better be on your own as long as you can and be healthy, and then don't depend on others. That's how you have to try managing that.
But you know what? Not many people have the views that you have. A lot of them feel, John, tell me if it is, and Susie, tell, they not only have expectations, they feel that they're entitled to do
Yeah,
it.
yes.
So you are telling something very important that is so very true, that become independent and try to not to expect from them. If they do it well and good, jolly good. If not, jolly good. Yeah.
But I agree with him in one thing. But I disagree with him. See, we don't expect anything from anybody.
Correct.
God has given you the strength,
Yes.
inner strength which He has given. Be on your own.
Mm.
Never ask for anything from anybody.
Mm.
You should be on your own with regard to finance.
Mm.
You should have your own with regard to your planning for your future to stay in a house. Even for getting 1 rupee, anything, you should have your own arrangements to be made.
Yeah.
Don't depend on people to take you here, there, everywhere.
Sure.
You have to be on your own.
Sure.
See, here, you should have the self-confidence within yourself.
Yeah.
I won't expect anything from them,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'll manage my things. In fact,
Sure.
today, if you ask me, sometimes it's not possible for me to get up in the morning. I get up at 5:15. I do my work, help the family, but I keep the whole day engaged with me.
So, Mr.
Like
Krishnan,
one thing is-
you're privileged.
Yeah,
No, I make myself privileged.
But
Why means
Susie,
the
tell me,
banker...
how many people can say what Mr. Krishnan said?
Yeah.
That look, I'm confident in managing my finance, I'm very confident in looking after myself. So you tell, she works
Yeah.
with people, so you tell me, he's first of all, he's a finance man,
Yeah.
he knows how to handle finance, and a lot of older people not financially independent, they are dependent on the children, Mr. Krishnan.
So I
And
think
you're
Mr.
very
Krishnan,
privileged.
yes, you are more the exception than the rule. Because when you look, especially people who are of your generation, if I may say so, many of them still carry the view that or expect children will take care of them. I mean, it's a kind of an understood, many of them, and it's see, generally the parents live with the son, the married son, and
Sure.
the daughter, of course, moves away. So it's kind of understood that the son will take care of the parents.
Yeah.
But and in many cases that's still going on. But now I know, I can see there's the change happening.
Sure.
Why? Because again of circumstances, about the children have all moved away, they go. No, parents are left alone. Most cases, most of the cases that I have seen, parents are here, children are abroad.
Yes.
Yeah. So, John, we heard profound thoughts of love, kindness, no expectations. Mr. Anand very clearly said it's compassion and forgiveness, and also make sure that don't expect, because look after yourself, let your children off expectations. And Susie said very clearly the ground reality, that a lot of people come with expectation. Can I give you a very model scenario for you? A father worked in a government sector, spent all the money educating his children. Is it morally wrong for him to expect his children to look after him?
Yeah, I think it's a very common scenario we come across. I think in the cultural background which we are brought up from childhood, as Mr. Anand was telling, the whole tradition of the parents take care of the children are expected to take care of the parents, and then the cycle goes on. But now in this day and age, everyone is traveling everywhere, and the parents are in the country, or the children are abroad, or the grandchildren are abroad. Taking care of the family is going to be very challenging. I think, as Mr. Krishna was telling, do not expect. Not everyone is privileged, and as we were telling, most of them give up their funds for their children. So I think it's morally the duty of the child to take care of their family, and if they're not able to be around, at least make sure that they are stable, help them, talk to them, be in constant communication so that they know and they can have confidence in the children, as Mr. Krishnan was telling.
Can I say this, John? I'm sure you say this. There are two words which every older person, every human being wants: to be valued and valuable. I feel that I'm valued at home. I feel my suggestions are valuable. They feel that these two words plays a very key role. So, Mr. Krishnan, straight question to you, the moral question: do you think the children have to look after the father who spent all the money in?
See, in the normal course,
Yeah.
as Doctor also said and Mr. Anand, from the family it comes. It is their bounden duty to take care of us in the old age.
Yeah.
But in the present context, it is very difficult.
Correct. But a lot of people are bitter about it.
Yes, bitter about it because they are not taken care of by the parents, their family members,
Yes. So
including the wife.
is
sometimes.
it justified?
Or
bitterness?
the husband doesn't take care of the wife, or the wife doesn't take care of the husband, even a cup of water.
Yeah.
See, that is where.
Is it
these
justified,
things
Mr.
in
Krishna?
No, it is not justified, but we have to go with
that.
the present
We
situation.
find that very hard. Mr. Anand, we find this very hard. People, there's a lot of bitterness. My son didn't take care of me. My son was not there when I was there. I spent all my time. So tell me, Mr. Anand, from your life experience, what advice would you give to that family?
I say what it requires is planning.
Yeah.
Planning from the child, if it is a son or a daughter, when she grows, or a son before getting married. The planning requires between the parents and the son that what has to be done at the old age. A, B, C, D are the parameters. This is how it's going to be. He says that if I'm getting married, I'm going abroad, I'll not be able to come. So what I can do is this. More than this, I'll not be able to do. So this is where you have to put a barrier and say that this is how you have to live.
So you express your expectations and say this, please dad, this is what I can do.
Exactly.
So that's very good thing. So you need to talk about it.
Talk about it. And then they know that what can happen, what cannot happen from the child.
Okay.
So from there they will take on, and then if a care home is there, or if you differentiate the age groups like 60 to 70 or 55 to 70 and 70 above, where people are not having mobility, then you should give all the comforts for them, like home away from home. So they should have all the comforts where they don't feel the deficiency of anything. And then the basic thing is the children have to speak to the parents often, which is required. Now what happens, because of the time and other things, they don't talk to them, they don't even care about. If they talk to them, the parents feel very happy about it.
So just communicating with them.
Communication.
Yeah, I learned that, just spending, say half an hour with my mom, switching off your mobile, just listening to her
That's all.
and telling how blessed I am that she's cooked meal for me and it's so tasty that makes a difference. But you touched on home away from home. You're doing a project on that. So tell me, what is that you're trying to do, and what was it different from the model that we have now?
No, we after seeing all these problems around, then we said to start with the one particular phase that you have to give all the comforts what they have at home.
Okay.
Like if somebody is staying alone, he cannot do everything on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he cannot do, whatever he wants, he would like to watch a TV. He would like to have his own channels. And if you make a dormitory, 10 people will have different ideas. It's not possible. So every individual, either a couple or a single person, he should have all his comforts. That's where he can live in a better environment than living alone at home.
Thing. So loneliness is a cancer of the mind, is bad. So can you provide such a thing with a low cost or a reasonable cost accommodation?
It is possible.
It is possible.
It is possible.
So you're doing some project on that.
Exactly.
Okay. So Susie, talk about.
Yeah, I'd like to actually touch on what he also spoke about planning.
Yeah.
And for the future. And working with the seniors and spending a lot of time with them, and I understood many of these issues which they are always concerned about future and how they're going to manage insecurity and dying alone, dependency, all that. And now there, of course, it is for people who can afford, not very luxurious, but okay, moderately. The senior residences which are coming up, in various places. So those really take, especially for children who are abroad and parents are here, they can afford it. So they have very good facilities, residential facilities. So about the planning, what I'd like to add here is that how I have been enriched by being around seniors is that I have learned that I need to plan my future right now. And I've already done it. I have got an apartment in a senior facility. So
You do that.
I did that, and I've visited that many times now. And the people who live there, the residents, are so happy. They have everything taken care of. There is a nurse, resident nurse there, and there's a doctor who comes once a week to visit, to consult, and there's an ambulance station there, and then food, dining facilities there. But apartment is your own. It's like you buy the apartment, so if you want to cook there, you cook your food. There are activities, there's a yoga room, there's a library, there is everything. So it's very well done. And the most important thing, it is also multi-generational.
Okay.
So you're not cut off.
Cut off from the generation.
You are part of the rest of the community, and so you go to the same supermarket, you can use the same playing areas or cycling track or whatever so you're part of the community. You're not cut off. So that is one.
We will touch on the issues that are not spoken among older people. Tell
I just want to add one. I think planning is really important for planning for
all of us.
self and future. So I think at every part of life and career you will have to plan. The one thing which I feel is the mindset of the elderly also should
Change.
try to change to the newer generation.
Yes.
The thing is like now, it's always like the parents will stay with the elder son's house. Now if they have daughters, they are completely inhibited. They don't want to stay. They are your daughters. I think once, and this brings about a lot of cultural differences, misunderstandings. I think that should change, and I think as Sir was telling, they should discuss this as they grow up in life and even when they're getting married, so that in future or like 10 years or 20, 30 years down the line, when they need help, who will be taking care and where will they stay? Even if it's a daughter's home, so what? It's their own daughter.
Exactly.
So we'll move to another question, set of questions where people don't talk about. I never thought, I think, is it good to talk about with your parents? Tell me what fears you're going through, what trepidations you're going through. Are you fearful of death? Is dying bothers you? So tell me, sir, have you discussed with your parents about death and dying? Or do you ask that question to yourself?
No, and my father, my parents, we spoke about, everybody knows that they have to leave one day. but nobody can accept that they are leaving this place. That's the main.
Why is
mistake.
that?
Yeah, that's the tendency. Everybody is that.
Wants to live.
Like you call about death and the liberation, moksha, and I have spoken to many people on this. They say moksha or liberation when you talk about, and then you say that cycle of birth and death is continuous. They say, okay, I will come back again. Why do I take moksha?
Karma cycle. Of,
Yeah, okay, I will come back. Why do I take moksha and be not here? I will come back and enjoy the life. But at the same time, you have suffering also.
Okay.
So when you have enjoyment, you forget about suffering. When you are suffering, then you really suffer.
Oh, okay.
So that's what it happens. Like
Yeah.
people can't come out of this.
So, with your perspective of resurrection and afterlife, are you worried about death?
Not at all.
Not at all. Are you worried about talking about dying in death?
No.
Okay. So, you're
To be
okay.
frank with you, I had my first attack in 95. These are the four attacks I had. Doctor said, you're gone, but still I am alive.
Probably met God there.
I'm still having this.
So, yeah.
One more is a pacemaker, Dr. Saravanan has put it in.
Yeah.
It is giving me.
There's some more lifting. No, but I'll tell you, we are much more sort of aware of what things are. A lot of people in cultures, they don't talk about death and dying because it is a bad omen to talk about, and they have fear. And you know why this comes across? Suppose they're diagnosed to have God forbid, a cancer. They have a limited pot of money. So the children feel very guilty. If I don't take care of them, what will others think? So tell me, you both are on the other side of the spectrum. So tell me, what should the son do?
And in case like cancers like that?
Yeah, you suppose a gentleman is diagnosed with cancer. They don't have much money, but the doctor says, look, there is a chance of you treating. So you have only that amount of money, but you also have other responsibilities. You know, will you take debts? Will you mortgage? How
I think it's a very common scenario.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what type of cancer, because since we are talking about like a terminal illness.
Suppose say doctor is not sure. Terminal, we know that it's all things.
See, if it's more terminal, sometimes we feel the general quality of life is going to be very poor. Sometimes we may not be able to diagnose what type of cancer, but we know it's
Would you talk to your dad or mom? If that's the scenario, not your dad and mom. The son should talk to the dad and say, look, this is my predicament, what do you think?
I think they should have
They
an
should
open-end
talk.
discussion.
What do you think?
They should
Yes,
have a
yes, yes.
discussion.
Is it fair?
Yes.
A lot of them say, don't tell my dad he's got cancer.
No. Yeah.
I will make decisions for him. But a lot of them want not to be treated.
Yes.
Is it fair?
Is it fair to?
Fair not to ask dad? I think you should know.
No, yes. No,
Autonomy
yeah,
is-
of course,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing about not including senior in any aspect
Inclusive
of the house
Yeah.
or any decisions. You kind of exclude them because now he's old, okay, he's done everything, now, okay, just leave him. It could be because out of love also that you don't want to trouble him, so just, trouble them, keep them. But on the other hand, it could also be neglect, like you just leave
Can I
them.
just touch on a very important thing that you touched? I'll ask these two gentlemen. Do you think in the good old days, the senior most gentleman was considered for everything? And that has changed now. You agree with that?
Yes.
Do you think that was a good thing or not so good thing?
No, always you have to communicate and take their opinion. Whether you adopt, you don't adopt.
Okay.
But when you talk to them, they feel very happy about it.
So you do give them the respect and
Yeah.
position what
They
they have.
deserve all the respect.
Yeah. So I think that's
But
what I
only
realized.
one area. Sometimes, they don't like you to interfere in certain of the things. See, for example, when I asked my son with regard to certain things, I have provided everything and he has also provided. Suddenly he wanted to invest in something. I asked him only one question, is it necessary? He said, I don't have future pensions and this because I'm in the IT sector. I would like to invest there. At a later date, I can dispose it of. I said, if that is the case, why not to invest in the land rather than in a flat system in that way?
So they have a different way of thinking.
Yeah, that's their way of different.
But
And
don't
he
you think
said,
you have to accept it?
no, finally I said, whatever you want to do, you
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Because he has got his view differently.
Maybe he's
and
more
discuss
risk-taker.
with his family also.
Yeah. So
Yes.
don't you
We
think?
should also respect them.
Can I come from the other aspect? Can I be a devil's advocate here? A lot of children say that my parents interfere in my life. They say do this, don't do this. So don't you
Yeah.
think after a certain age, you need to keep your perspective
Yes.
to yourself and say,
Yes.
my son may think that. What do you say?
I want to say, and if I'm talking to audience, I would definitely say that once the boy or a girl marries, you should never interfere in their personal life.
You said it right.
So,
Yeah.
And that is the first thing which is going to cause problems.
Yeah.
And then it is mostly from the mothers-in-law, it starts from there, like interfering into their activity or their freedom or liberty. That starts the problem. So you end up with your own problems. Financially, they will not take care of you. So best is not to interfere and leave them.
Unless and until they ask you to interfere.
Yes,
Interfere.
if you are asked for any advice, you
Advice.
please give.
Good.
Otherwise, be away from them. And then you mind your own business. So you will be happy. And try to help them. And then second thing is, don't ever differentiate between a daughter and a daughter-in-law. Like, a new daughter-in-law comes in to the house, daughter will be sitting, you will tell the daughter-in-law, go and get coffee for me. So that
It's
starts.
like
That's the fire.
understood.
That's the main thing.
No, I think you hit,
So
the,
you have to
hit
treat-
the nail on the head straight away.
You have to treat
Yeah.
everyone equal.
Equal.
And daughter-in-law is always a daughter. That's how you treat. Then they will treat you nicely. As Krishnan says, you show love, they will give you love.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing. So I think we are running out of time. There are a lot of other things that I want to tie up. In terms of should we, John, talk to our parents about sealing of treatment? That ask them what is your opinion. If I've spoken to my mom, she's told very clearly, don't take me to ICU. Don't even take me to the hospital. So very clear. Do you think it's a good thing for us? Because a lot of older people come to hospital and languish in ICUs. And
Yeah.
John, you tell me. Do you morally are we?
Yeah, I think we can plan what you call as advanced directives, where we discuss with the person and the patient or the family members can discuss and decide what is their own expectation and how far they would want to go ahead in the medical care. Because if a patient becomes sick, as per routine, they go to the ICU, start on injections,
Yeah,
drips,
right,
multiple
right.
tubes here and there,
Sure.
go to ICU. The quality of life is really bad. But then there are some patients who will choose, like, I do not want this and I would want to do this. So if it's his choice, what we call as a patient's autonomy, if you decide
Yeah.
much ahead in life, when the situation comes, it's easy to take a
think.
call and there's no guilt at some point.
Sure.
Because if the patient loses consciousness,
You
now
can't,
the
yeah.
family will not be able to
They'll be
know
second
what
guessing.
is the best for him.
they'll second
Yes.
guessing. Yeah.
And that happens more when you have 2 or 3 children.
Ah.
One
Yes.
son will say, no,
Yes.
we want
Yes.
ventilator.
Yeah.
Another son will say, no,
yes.
we will not
So when the
put on.
patient or the person herself has taken
Second.
a decision and explain the family members what is their choice, it's much easier on the long
Yeah.
run.
So we spoke a lot of things, I'll summarize it, and it's a big topic. We just can't cover a lot of things, and we want to see how we can put a twinkle into the wrinkles what they have. So, Mr. Krishnan, I'll tell me, is there anything that you want to say that I'm not covered?
No,
You want to speak to
you
the
have
audience?
covered almost all the things, but only one thing is, as elderly person, we must understand one thing. The present situation is entirely different when compared to what it was earlier. So as elderly people, we should adjust to the present situation, be one with the family and adjust and go.
Sure.
Then that will help us with regard to staying happily in the family.
Sure.
Otherwise, it leads to complications.
Sure. Adjustment, yeah. Mr. Anand, is there anything else you want to say?
I say that looking forward for many years to come, that the education system what we have, they're not teaching morals in the schools in the initial stages when the children are there. It has become too competitive. The people, they study only for the future exams and other things. So you need to inculcate these
Yeah.
things in the minds of the children so that it may give a long-term effect of taking care of the parents in future. That's how we look at it.
Anything that you want to say?
Yeah, so I'd like to end on a positive note by saying that the older adults today are the happening lot.
Yeah.
Really. Because I have seen in my centers that, and I've always encouraged them to be who they are and who they have always been. Not just because you've added on years doesn't mean you stop enjoying, stop doing things that you used to do, and just enjoy life. Why should youngsters have all the fun? So I've seen it happening, and the enthusiasm. We did a really wonderful music and dance program 2 years ago on World Elders Day, and the way they came for practice and somebody with a belt, with the backache and all that, would she know they would be there on time for practice? So full, all of them. So I've seen that change everywhere, lots of places, and I think
Enjoy
the WhatsApp videos and all are helping that, because you get so many of these seniors doing.
So
various
enjoy life,
things.
is it what you say? Yeah. John, what do you say? You want to say anything? You're going to cover?
Yeah, I think the elderly will have to place their trust in the younger generation,
Yeah.
and the younger generation will have to place their trust and confidence in the elder generation, because
Yuji.
I think they have their years of wisdom and knowledge.
Exactly.
I think it's most necessary. And the other thing is what everyone is telling about the love, compassion, forgiveness. I think that is most essential, because it will bring healing to themselves and to everyone around them.
Sure. So I think we'll sort of summarize everything. You want to bring, put twinkle into your wrinkle. I think we said it all. Show love and kindness, it'll come back to you. Show compassion and forgiveness. Don't hold on to things. And also what John said, the older people should accept the younger people are there and understand that they are in a different world, and younger people should understand that older people believe in things and understand from their perspective. And also what Mr. Krishnan brought out very clearly, see, adapt, change, don't interfere, accept things that you can't change. Okay, and also the very important theme about educating our younger people about moral virtues and values of looking after older people. And Susie, you hit really very important point. Have fun, have a jingle, have a laugh, and you know what? Count your blessings. Can I say this to you? Count your blessings, and you'll be so happy. Look, I don't know what we went through, but let us look ahead. We want you to reap the harvest of labor and have enjoyment and have the joy, the love, and I want you to be in an environment where you're stimulated, you're motivated to get the best out of you. Let me say this to you, gentlemen. It is never too late. And I want to end with a quote which is so favorite to me. Aging is mind over matter. If you don't mind, it just does not matter. So whatever age you may be the youngest 80s, okay, okay. So and just enjoy, have fun, have jingle, and thank God, and be connected to God, and you can get the most of it. So have a wonderful year ahead. Whatever you're doing, count your blessings and make the most of what you have, and be positive, give love and kindness. You will feel valued and valuable. Thank you.